Today we're going to work on division. Before we do that, I want to review what are the parts of a division problem. Okay, 755 is what you call your dividend, and 7 is what you call your divisor. Your dividend tells you how much you have, and your divisor tells you how many groups you need to have. And the answer is called the quotient. That's important that you know, because if you're doing word problems and they sometimes ask you, they might say, well, what is the quotient? That lets you know that you're supposed to be dividing. If they say, well, what is the quotient? Then that's a clue that you need to divide. But let's go into what am I actually doing when I'm doing division. So let's do a problem that you might have done when you were younger. If I wanted to know how many groups of threes can I get out of 7? So the first thing when you were younger, you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You had your 7 lines or 7 pieces of candy or whatever, and you wanted to know how many groups of 3 you could get out of them. You'd say, okay, that's 1, 2, 3. That's 1, 2, 3. So how many groups did I get? 2. And then I had a remainder of 1. Well, how did I get that? By multiplying, I would say 3 times 2 is 6. And then I subtract, and I have a remainder of 1. Well, that's the same thing you did over here, except you had counters to do it. But as you get older, you don't want to use counters because it takes a little bit longer. And the larger the number is, the more counters it is. And you don't want to do that. So you want to be able to know how to divide large numbers. Well, there's an acronym we use: daddy, mother, sister, brother. It just talks about dividing, multiplying, subtracting, and bringing down. So dividing, multiplying, subtracting, and bringing down. So the first thing I do when I'm dividing, I'm looking at the divisor and saying, well, I start with one number at a time. I start with the first number. And I say, how many 7s can I get out of 7? Well, that's a multiplication fact. 7 times 1 equals 7. So I can get 1, 7. That's my division. Then I say multiply, divide, multiply. 7 times 1 is 7. Once I get that, I subtract. And then my last step is to bring down. That means bring down the next number. My next number says, how many 7s can I get out of 5? Well, I know I can't get 1 out of it because that's over. So how many 7s can I get out of 5? 0. Can't get any out of that. So then I multiply. 7 times 0 is 0. That's my multiplication. Subtract. And then I bring down. Now I'm doing a multiplication fact again. 7 times what will give me 55? Well, I'm not going to use 7 times 1 because I know that's too small. So I'm going to try to do something. I'm going to think about, I know that 7 times 7 equals 49. Then I need to say, well, let me try one more. Let me try 7 times 8. And that will give me 56. And that's higher than what I have left. So then my number, I know that 7 will only go into 55 7 times. And 7 times 7 is 49. I subtract. 15 take away 9 is 6. So I'm left with a remainder of 6. And that's so much easier than trying to draw out all the lines and then separating it by groups of 7. So remember, daddy, mother, sister, brother. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down.